Hello, today I'm reviewing 7 new foundations that I've been testing and that you've been asking about. I have different types of foundations at different price points, and as always I'm going to share my experiences with each and share with you what skin types I think would benefit from each of these foundations. Welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you're new. I test out a lot of foundations and concealers and powders and face type products here on my channel because it just gets harder and harder to find satisfactory products as we get older and things start to change with our skin texture. So I hope that this video helps you out, helps you decide if one of these is right or not right for you. So let's go ahead and get into these 7 foundations that I've been testing out. For those of you who don't know my skin type, I have oily combination skin, but I also have some surface dehydration from prescription tretinoin. So in addition to my oily T-zone, I'm also having to deal with a little bit of dryness. It's a very, very interesting combination, but it's giving me a nice perspective with dry skin, that's for sure. I always test out foundations for more than a day. I use various primers, various powders. Those will also be listed down below in the description box along with the foundations and everything I'm wearing. I'm going to start out with a highly requested foundation from the drugstore. This is the Covergirl Outlast Extreme Wear 3-in-1 foundation. This retails for $10.49 for 1 ounce of product. There are 14 shades and I am in shade 840 Natural Beige. Now this is supposed to be extremely long lasting for up to 24 hours. It's also supposed to be a concealer, foundation, primer all in one, yet be hydrating, breathable, sweat proof, and water resistant. I love that claim because I live in New Orleans. It is hot and humid here the majority of the year. So I can tell pretty quickly how a foundation is going to hold up, you know, in humidity with sweat and that kind of thing. This is also cruelty free and vegan. They claim this is full coverage. I think it is buildable from medium to full, and it does apply very quickly and very easily, and it feels very lightweight on the skin. The finish of this looks pretty natural for a medium to full coverage foundation. It gives a soft matte finish that's really smoothing and pore blurring. I don't think my clips reflect how pore blurring it actually is. Sometimes the iPhone camera picks up on things that you don't normally see face to face. When I looked in the mirror, I was just really impressed with how my skin looked when I wore this. One thing that I think is very important to note that I haven't seen a lot of people, actually anyone, point out, I'm sure someone did, I just haven't seen it. The sunscreen component is octinoxate. It's written like they're very proud of it right here on the front of the bottle. That is a chemical sunscreen, so if you have sensitive skin, rosacea like I do, that is important to know because a lot of people cannot tolerate this ingredient. They can't tolerate chemical sunscreens at all. A lot of people just don't want to wear them because they are absorbed into the body. They can be hormone disruptors when used long term. Now the SPF in here is SPF 18, so it's not like you're getting a ton of SPF in here. Anyway, I'm not even sure why they included it or why they couldn't go for a mineral sunscreen, but it's in here, so you definitely need to know that. I do think this wore really nicely throughout the day. Now when I blew my nose, it wiped off a little bit, but that's pretty normal. And it lasted every day I wore it, even without a primer. Now one thing I will note is that on the days that I wore it without a primer, I did get shiny in my T-zone. So I would say if you have oily skin, you're probably going to want to wear a primer underneath it, which kind of negates the all-in-one formula. I also wouldn't use this as a concealer. I don't like using foundation as concealer because, well, for me, I have dry under eyes and foundation tends to, you know, just make that area look a little worse. So I'm taking this for what it is. It's a foundation. I need a primer with it to prevent shine in my T-zone, and that's just fine. This also didn't pick up on any little surface dehydration flakes I had going on. Now, of course, a lot of this with the shine and with the, you know, picking up flakes and all that is going to depend on external factors like your skincare and the climate you live in. These are just my experiences. You may love some of the foundations that I don't like. You may hate some of the ones that I love. Everyone is different and our skin is all individual. But for me, I really did love the way this looked on my skin. I love the way it wore when I wore a primer underneath it. I do always set my foundation with powder. I just have a skin type and a T-zone that requires me to set my foundation. Again, primers and powders that I use will be listed down below, along with everything I'm showing in this video as well as what I'm wearing. So who do I think this is best for? I think if you have possibly moderate moderately dry skin to oily. And I say moderately dry skin just because I'm not sure with being the type of coverage it is if it might pick up on some dryness if you have extremely dry skin. But I had a good experience with it. Just note that chemical sunscreen component. Now, it didn't flare up my rosacea, it didn't bother my sensitive skin. However, it's not something I'm going to want to use every single day because of that component. But overall, I think this is a really nice drugstore option with those couple of side notes. Now we have the Fenty Eaze Drop Blurring Skin Tint. This is another highly requested foundation. This is $29.50 for 1.08 ounces of product. There are 25 shades. I'm in shade 7, which is described as light medium with warm neutral undertones. If you're curious about my shades in any foundations or concealers, I have my foundation and concealer match lists in my description box. I keep updated lists over on my blog so that you can reference them anytime. This is supposed to be a lightweight, buildable, light to medium coverage skin tint, and it's supposed to leave the skin looking blurred and smooth. And it has this Hydra Blend complex that is humidity, sweat, and transfer resistant, and it's supposed to layer well over your primer or your skincare. This is also cruelty-free and vegan. Now, I usually apply my foundations with a sponge, a damp sponge, but if I want more coverage or if it's a product that I can smear on with my fingers, I'll usually use a dry sponge. I just find it to give a smoother application. I did find that this applies quickly and easily with any method, a brush, a sponge, my fingers. So, you know, you've got a lot of flexibility there. It feels very lightweight on the skin, like I'm not wearing anything. Now, I did notice that this emphasized my dry, flaky areas pretty bad, no matter whether I wore a primer or not, and pretty much every day I wore it. But in the areas where I didn't have any dryness, it looked really beautiful and really natural and didn't really give a radiant finish or a matte finish. It was just a really beautiful, smooth, skin-like finish. It was lovely. I personally would say the coverage is light to light medium. I have to use a primer under this or it will not last on my face. I'll just say that right off the bat. It wears nicely when I am at home or when it's not humid, although I can get a little bit shiny in my T-zone. But on a regular normal day where there is some humidity and where I wore a mask, it did not look good on me at all. It got super shiny and it also slid off my face where I was wearing the mask. I was actually really surprised by that. I tried it several times and it did the same thing every time. I went into this expecting it to perform really well and I was very, very surprised at how it just didn't hold up on my skin and how it emphasized my surface dehydration. So who do I think this is for? I think if you have normal skin, this would work beautifully on you. I would stay away from this if you have any surface dehydration, any flakes whatsoever. I think you could get shiny with this if you have oily skin. I mean, I did, if you live in humidity especially. So that's going to be kind of your mileage may vary depending on your climate, but I would say this is great for normal skin, but other skin types, I'm just not so sure. This was not a great product for me, unfortunately. Next up, we have the NARS Pure Radiant Tinted Moisturizer. This is a product relaunch because they added some new shades to be more inclusive, which I think is great. I never tried this in the past because of the name Pure Radiant. I just assumed it would make me a grease ball, so I wanted to try it, and some of you may not have tried it either. So this is $45 for 1.9 ounces of product. You get a lot of product in here. There are 16 shades, and the reason why I'm holding 2 is because I kind of fluctuate between the two. In the dead of winter at my lightest, I am in shade Groenland, light 3, and in the late spring and summer, I am in Mykonos, which is medium 0. So I'm kind of mixing them right now because I'm kind of in that in-between stage. This has SPF 30 and it is a physical sunscreen. This is supposed to be a lightweight tinted moisturizer. It's supposed to hydrate and smooth the skin and also brighten because it's got vitamin C. These are oil-free and vegan. They say to warm it up and then apply it with your fingers. I just don't always like applying things with my fingers, so you know, sometimes I'll do it that way, but a lot of times I do use a dry sponge. It does apply very quickly, very easily. It feels lightweight. It does give a nice radiant finish that looks very natural. It does not look greasy like I thought it would, and it looks nice on the pores too. I do think this gives light coverage. It's not quite just a skin tint. It's a little more than that, but it's not quite, you know, foundation territory either. It doesn't pick up on my dry patches, and I feel like it wears really well throughout the day, better than what I thought it would. And I don't get super shiny. I mean, I get a little bit shiny. It's just kind of the nature of this type of product, but I'm not unhappy when I look in the mirror. I don't look like a big grease ball. I was pleasantly surprised with this product, and I think any skin type could wear it. If you have dry skin, I think it's going to be absolutely beautiful, and if you have oily skin, you may want to put a mattifying primer in your T-zone just to help you out there, but it wore well for me when I did that. So I'm kind of happy they relaunched this because I probably would not have tried it otherwise. Really nice product from NARS. Next up, we have the new and improved Huda Beauty FauxFilter Luminous Matte Foundation. A lot of you have been curious about this one as well. This is $40 for 1.18 ounces of product. There are 39 shades, and I am in the shade Toasted Coconut, which is $240 in. So they claim that this gives full matte coverage with up to 24 hours of wear and a luminous matte finish. It's supposed to be transfer proof and fade proof, sweat proof, waterproof, and humidity proof. It's also cruelty free and vegan. So as opposed to all the other foundations in this video, this one does not really apply quickly and easily. It kind of grips to the skin. So if you saw my last foundation roundup, I reviewed the new Clinique foundation as well as the e.l.f. CC cream, and they kind of did the same thing. They just kind of wanted to lock down on the skin, which isn't a bad thing when you're talking about something being transfer proof. You just need to kind of apply it in sections as opposed to putting it down all over the face and then blending it out. If you're confused on that method, I will link a video right below this product in the description box. It's how to apply Estee Lauder Double Wear without looking cakey. I use that method. It works beautifully for foundations like this that kind of, you know, just set down pretty quickly. Now, when I say set down quickly, I don't mean it's just, you know, locking to your skin and mattifying itself. It's not that type of foundation. It just, you know, kind of grips. So you have to take some time to blend it out. However, it does feel pretty nice on the skin. It does give a luminous finish. It's not greasy looking, but it does have a little bit of luminosity. Now, I wouldn't call this a faux filter. I mean, I could still see my pores, which isn't a bad thing. We have pores, but I feel like, you know, when you're calling something a faux filter, that leads you to believe it's gonna, you know, make you all blurred. This doesn't really do that. I feel like this just kind of gives a more natural looking finish because it does allow your pores to be shown through it. It doesn't emphasize them. You can just see them. So I would say this is buildable from medium to medium full. I didn't get super full coverage with this. It did wear nicely all day without getting super shiny, super greasy. There was one day where I blew my nose a lot and it still wore pretty nicely. So that gripping to the skin is there for a reason. It is so that it will last. And I do feel like it did. So this kind of falls somewhere in the middle for me. I don't love it, but I don't hate it either. It performed well. I just tend to like a different type of finish when I'm going for medium to medium full coverage foundations. I like a more smoothing finish, something that gives me that blurred effect, and this just didn't get there for me. Your mileage may vary. You may have a totally different experience. I also find that when you do have, you know, oily areas, when the shine comes through, that texture or your pores can kind of be emphasized a little bit more because of the, you know, luminosity in a foundation. So this isn't something that I personally would reach for this type of coverage level, but I think, you know, it could possibly work for someone with a different skin type. This is another highly requested foundation, and this is the priciest foundation in this grouping. This is the Chantecaille Future Skin Cushion Skincare Foundation. Now, every time you purchase one of these, you feed an orphan baby elephant rescued by the Sheldrick Wildlife Trust. So one cushion equals one bottle of milk formula for a baby elephant. I love that. I think that's fantastic. This is cruelty-free and vegan as well. So this includes a cushion in the compact. It also comes with a refill in the box, which I think is pretty great. It is $128 for the compact with the cushion inside and product, and then the refill too. And each one of those is 0.42 ounces. This has 8 highly adaptable and flexible shades across all skin tones. This is water-based. It's supposed to be smoothing and give you anti-pollution skincare ingredients to help blur your imperfections. And it's supposed to leave your face looking flawless. I love the whole concept of cushion foundations. They're just so quick and easy and convenient to apply. So this did apply very quickly, and it feels super lightweight on the skin. It looks extremely natural and gives kind of a just radiant finish without looking greasy, and it's very smoothing as well. I would say this gives light to medium buildable skin-like coverage. This does really look like skin. It's a great daily foundation. This did not pick up on any dry areas. It just looked really, really beautiful on the skin. Now, as for wear, I have to wear a primer with this or it will slide off my T-zone. Now, when I wear a primer, it wears really nicely, I would say through a moderately long day, and it just looks really pretty. Now, what I like about this is that I can lightly touch up with it and it doesn't disturb my makeup, even if I have powder on already. I don't know, it just works really well for that. Now this iPhone clip is really dark and blurry. I don't know what happened, but I just wanted to show you at the end of a long day that, you know, I got shiny, but the makeup itself didn't really, you know, look bad, even though I got shiny. And this was actually a pretty long day. If you have mature skin, I think this is going to look beautiful on you. It's just very, very flattering, very natural looking. It's got skincare ingredients in it. It's dry skin friendly. I actually think it's really great across all skin types except for super oily. I think if you're super oily, you may want to stay away from it. I know they have a foundation that is supposed to be better for oily skin. I'd actually be interested in trying that one. If you've tried that one from Chantecaille, let me know down below because I would love to know how you got along with it. But I actually kind of thought this wouldn't work well for me at all because I have oily skin. I think it's geared more towards dry skin. And, you know, for me, being oily combo, just knowing that, you know, this isn't going to be the foundation that I reach for if I need something that's going to last for 12 hours. It's more of a 6 to 7 hour foundation for me. But I really love the finish. Next up is the Westman Atelier Vital Skin Foundation Stick. This is $68 for 0.31 ounces. And just keep in mind that stick foundations are less concentrated, so you're going to get less product because of that. There are 18 shades, and I am in Atelier 3. It's a great match. So this has ingredients in it that combats redness, soothes, and evens the skin tone while it boosts moisture. Now, this applied very quickly, very easily. Sometimes foundation sticks can be a little hard to blend out. This one is not. It blends out beautifully. Now, on the days when I wore this with primer, I felt like it stuck to all of my surface dehydration and emphasized it. On the days that I wore it without primer, I felt like it just blended in like a dream and looked beautiful. It didn't catch on any dryness whatsoever. So we're going to come back to that here in a second. It feels very, very lightweight on the skin. And I'm going to focus on the finish on the days when I wore it without a primer because with a primer, I just didn't like all that texture I could see on my skin. So without a primer, this gives a lovely, radiant, natural, second skin looking finish. Now, I would say this coverage is medium to around medium full. It claims to be full coverage, and I didn't really think it was full coverage. Now, this did wear really well when I wore it with primer underneath it, but I didn't like the way it looked on my skin. On the days without a primer, I loved the way it looked on my skin, but it would not stay on my face. And I got super shiny. So this just did not work for me. I couldn't get it to work. I tried for days and days and days to get it to work, and it just does not work for me. I think if you have normal skin, this is going to be beautiful, or even dry without surface dehydration, this would be gorgeous. I think even combination skin could get away with it if you're not in a humid climate like I am, possibly. This is also cruelty-free and vegan. I forgot to mention that at the beginning, but you know, it is important to note. So unfortunately, this did not work for me, and I really, really wanted it to because I just love finding a good stick foundation. They're convenient, you can travel with them, and I just did not have good luck with this one. This one is kind of under the radar. I don't hear a lot of people talking about this brand, but it is new and I've had some hits from this product, so I wanted to definitely try it out and share it with you. This is the Wonder 2 Go Beyond Powder Foundation. It is $30 for 0.42 ounces of product. There are 5 highly adaptable shades, and I am in light medium. So they emphasize heavily that they tested this on mature skin. It's supposed to be a complexion enhancing powder that allows you to take a break from your normal everyday foundation. It's also supposed to be lightweight and nourishing and visibly even the skin tone without settling into lines or pores. And it's supposed to be water resistant and transfer proof. This is a talc cruelty-free alternative to mineral and powder foundation. It is also cruelty-free and vegan. We have a lot of cruelty-free and vegan in this video. So there is a kabuki brush that goes with this. I just used my own brush that I had. It worked just fine. And if I wanted more coverage, I pressed it in with a sponge. Just like with any powder foundation, this applies very quickly, very easily. I do find it to be kind of dusty. I mean, it kicks up a lot of product no matter what brush I use. I mean, even with my Sonia G brushes that normally don't give a lot of kick up, this did. So I thought it was going to be very powdery and dusty looking on the face. And it does kind of look powdery at first, but it kind of morphs into looking very natural. So you kind of have to let it settle in for just a couple of minutes. And then you kind of realize, wait, it does look really nice. It feels very lightweight on the skin. It looks very flattering and not like a powder foundation. And it does smooth the pores. I would say this gives light to medium coverage. I pretty much always wear primer underneath powder foundations because they will slip off of my face otherwise. And this is one that I do have to do that with. This is the foundation that I have on today. I don't think I look like I have a powder on today. I am getting some radiance, you know, around my cheek, my nose area, but I don't get a greasy shine with it. I do have this on with a hydrating primer today. When I wear it with a mattifying primer, I don't really get that radiance. It just stays looking a natural finish. It's actually pretty long wearing for a powder foundation. Now I had one day where it kind of picked up on a little bit of dryness that I had over here when I applied it with a brush, but as soon as I pressed some in with a sponge, it went away. This seems to work really well for me, even with my dryness, depending on how I apply it. I think this is really great for any skin type, and they did emphasize they tried it on mature skin. I think it's very flattering. I really think this is a great powder foundation for any skin type. You know, you may be like me and have to mess with it with primers and, you know, how you apply it, but it lasts a long time. It looks flattering. I don't think it looks like powder. I like that the shades are adaptable. This was a surprise hit. I wasn't expecting to like this as much as I do, actually. This is going live during the Sephora Spring Savings event, so I'm going to have my recommendations video linked here for you. I'll also have my recent foundation roundup that I just did, so you can see the newer foundations that I reviewed in that video. I would love to hear your thoughts on any of these down in the comments below. Let me know any foundations you want me to take a look at. I hope you found this helpful. If you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button and become part of the family. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.